All right, let's go ahead and get started. Welcome to the Association Simplifier webinar, Mapping an Association Cloud Solution. My name is Justin Kraft. I'm the Director of Marketing for Bros Group. This webinar is designed to help you align your strategies around membership, non-membership dues, and mission to your cloud strategy. It is also designed to inform you about various services and tools at your disposal. All right, I just want to test this, make sure everyone can hear me. Can everyone hear me? Perfect. Okay, welcome to the Association Simplifier webinar, Mapping an Association Cloud Solution. My name is Justin Kraft, and I'm the Director of Marketing at Bros Group. This webinar is designed to help you align your strategies around membership, non-membership dues, and mission to your cloud strategy. It is also designed to inform you about various services and tools at your disposal. First thing I want to talk to you guys about is give you a brief description of who Bros Group is. Bros Group is a premier IT consulting and talent management firm dedicated to helping clients across multiple industries with all of their IT requirements. Bros Group has a unique intersection of service delivery and practice areas that enable clients to enhance value and promote nimble technology restructuring. Bros Group is an established provider of managed services for membership associations with 50,000 plus members, 1,500 institutions, advisory, operations, and project-based IT services. The four service areas that Bros Group provides across all industries, including associations, is staffing services, direct placement, IT consulting, and managed services. We are a rare breed that provides all four of these services. We do this because it allows you to go to one place for any of your IT association needs. The Bros Group IT consulting and managed services provides many solutions. They include SharePoint, cloud solutions, analytics, BI, business continuity, security, Office 365, project management, mobile solutions, virtualization, and strategy planning. We have clients who utilize just one of these services, a combination, or all of them. Bros Group has extensive experience specifically with associations. We may allude to some of this work in the webinar. We currently provide MSP and consulting solutions to many companies such as Water Research Foundation, Financial Planning Association, Professional Ski Instructors of America, and Mountain States Employers Council. So you guys are probably sick of hearing from me. I'm going to go ahead and introduce Rick. Rick Balcom is the CTO and COO at Bros Group. Rick is a thought leader, qualified by more than 20 years in leading enterprise software implementations, processes, projects, and integration efforts. He's a recognized leader in the association community, developing strategies and matching them to mission and organizational goals. He currently serves as a virtual CIO for multiple associations. So without further ado, I'll go ahead and pass this off to Rick.
Great. Thank you, Justin. I'm assuming you can hear me now?
Yep, absolutely.
Great. Thank you all for joining us. We're going to cover in about 30 or 40 minutes here. As Justin said, we've got pretty extensive experience in the association space, and I want to work on the topic that is kind of presented by this little graphic that was sent to me by an association CEO when I first met them, because they found themselves in this position. Basically, complete misunderstanding or lack of understanding around the cloud and how to manage technology in the cloud for their association and for their membership. So today what we're going to do is try to cover some of those lessons learned that we've gained from our experience in the industry and try to answer some of your questions. It looks to me, just to remind you of the logistics, if you have a question while I'm going through the webinar, please type that into the chat box that you'll find at the lower right-hand side of the screen. and Justin will interrupt me at the right places so that we can coordinate those messages. And then again, at the end of the webinar, we will open it up for voice questions if that works for everyone. So how do you avoid finding yourself in this position as an association CEO or IT professional? How do you answer the question about how we get things into the cloud, specifically around IT organizations? So I find myself in the position of getting this question posed to me a lot. Folks say to me that we hear about this cloud, we know that we need to be paying attention to it. We've also got these questions about IT in general, and membership organizations are always struggling with the intersection of cost and resources and how to apply those in the best way. So I often find myself hearing from CEOs and association executives, are we as an IT organization doing the right things? Are IT folks lined up in the right way? Are we telling them the right things to do, and are they able to leverage their resources in the most efficient way? Oftentimes I hear folks talking about reducing the cost of maintaining IT infrastructure, which is a significant value proposition of the cloud. How do we improve overall IT effectiveness? How do we get our IT folks focused on new initiatives? How do we take advantage of things like the cloud and mobile platforms and best-of-breed technologies? And overall, how do we enhance IT service availability with limited resources? So those questions I'm often in front of association CEOs and IT folks and saying, these are the questions that are posed to us. So when you look at what IT does traditionally, we often hear about 80-20. And the 80-20 common wisdom in the IT industry is that existing IT staff spend about 80% of their time maintaining existing infrastructure or applications, desktops, existing infrastructure around IT, and keeping that up and running. What I talk to and refer to as blinking lights. So IT spends a lot of time watching blinking lights in the traditional view. If you take the cloud view of technology, you want to work to invert that. So we'll talk about that in a second. But the basic premise of using and implementing a cloud technology is to turn around your 80-20. Basically, how do I get 80% of my resources focused on new things as opposed to just watching blinking lights and maintaining existing infrastructure? The 5 things that are listed here are from the 2014 CIO survey about the top technology initiatives for a broad range of organizations, not just membership. But if you look at the list, improve the use of analytics, identify new ways, improve IT project delivery performance. Basically, all 5 of these are focused on new. How do I get focused on the 20% rather than the 80%? So the top 5 initiatives that most CIOs and technology folks and association executives are looking to accomplish are, how do I invert the 80-20 and start focusing on new things for 2014? So this is where the cloud comes in. Everybody believes that there's some potential in the cloud, but they don't know exactly why the cloud is so important to them, why it is really come onto the radar screen for organizations in such a massive way over the past 2 to 3 years. Well, there are 3 things that are really driving cloud adoption. The first and probably most important in terms of enabling cloud adoption is bandwidth prices. We can basically now rely on bandwidth everywhere all the time. And I always talk about the download benchmark. When you think about what bandwidth prices have done, just since 1998, if you were to stream a movie that you get off of Netflix or iTunes or any of those today, back in 1998, the bandwidth cost, just the bandwidth cost alone to stream that movie would have cost you $270. Today, the price for that movie download is 5 cents and falling. So the significant driver around cloud adoption is that bandwidth is available almost everywhere, almost all of the time. So when you're north of 95, 98% available in high bandwidth, that's a significant driver to cloud adoption. The second driver around cloud adoption and what's driving it is Moore's Law. For those of us who came out of the computer science discipline, Moore's Law basically states that computing power is going to double to triple every 2 years, and the price will fall by 50% every year. So it wouldn't take much of a mathematician to draw that out and see that the power of computing is on an extreme hockey stick growth strategy while the prices are falling. And that makes any purchase that you make today in terms of hardware that goes into your premise immediately obsolete. So if you look at replacing a server that's 3 years old, whatever you buy today, actually before you get the packaging off of it, it's pretty much obsolete. So Moore's Law is catching up with us. It's more than caught up with us. And it's really driving a need to want to try to figure out how I get out of the business of watching blinking lights. How do I find myself in a different position? And cloud adoption is what really changes the game around that. The third thing that's driving cloud adoption is that managing and finding and managing IT talent is hard. I know here in Denver, we run a 1.5% to 2% unemployment market for IT professionals, so they're very hard to come by. And when you find them, you really want them focused on new initiatives and lining up with your business plan as opposed to watching blinking lights. So those three things are really driving cloud adoption. That's why no matter where you go and who you talk to in the technology business, you're always going to hear cloud at the top of mind in terms of those conversations. So what is the cloud? What does it really mean when you say, I'm going to do things in the cloud or I'm going to move things to the cloud? The basic premise of the cloud is that they're IT assets delivered over the internet. I talked about bandwidth. Bandwidth is what drives the internet. When you think about the internet we had 10 years ago, it was difficult to do email over it. You certainly couldn't do rich text and movie downloads. Now it's common. But IT assets delivered over the internet, when you look at these 4 different categories of IT assets delivered over the internet, bandwidth is what enables that. And there are really 4 classifications of things that you should think about. And I'll walk through each of these individually in terms of what they mean to associations. The first category of cloud services is something that is pretty common nowadays. I know that Microsoft calls Office 365 platform and collaboration. It's a software as a service. Essentially, you have no hardware installed on your local premise. Office 365, for example, there are other tools out there like this, but Office 365 provides email, SharePoint in the cloud, Yammer. There's a collection of tool sets there around all of your Office tools. Basically, you have no hardware that you're hosting in order to make the software as a service work for your organization. The second level of cloud tools that are available are infrastructure as a service. And basically, again, the premise is to get rid of watching blinking lights and having iron or hardware in your premise. And it puts those things into a cloud that is managed by someone else. So similar to what Microsoft does for Office 365, you can buy services where you can get servers and infrastructure from someone like Azure, which is a Microsoft product, or you can certainly get it from Google and those folks through the EC2 platforms. The third level of cloud platform is platform as a service. Again, there are tool sets out there that go beyond just a software as a service, but give you a complete package of hardware and software bundled together. There are products like that out there that fall into the category of things like Microsoft Dynamics for CRM, Project Online. Salesforce falls into this category, also falls into software as a service as well. So if you look at those top 3 categories, you see that there are some, it's not just a matter of saying I'm going to put my things in the cloud. It's a matter of thoughtfully figuring out the applications that you're looking for and figuring out which cloud service is appropriate for you. The fourth blue box down at the bottom is really highlighted in this vein because one of the things about the cloud architecture that you will find is that it doesn't really matter that all of this is going into the cloud. You really still need to focus on finding the right management structure, the right partnership structure to help you define and implement cloud services. The need for a good partner for developing your cloud strategies and implementing your cloud strategy does not go away. These are services that become basically utilities. You still need a strong project management and strategy and planning function to implement some of these things. So cloud strategy by the numbers. If I were to simplify all 4 of those things that you just heard me talk about, we put them into three categories. The first category is cloud or commodity cloud, and those are tools like Microsoft Office 365, which includes all of your email functionality, all of Link, which is a screen share and instant messaging platform, SharePoint Online, Yammer, and SkyDrive. So just to walk through those individually a bit, if you have an Exchange server in your organization that you're maintaining, especially as nonprofits, for those of you who have the appropriate nonprofit status as an educational institution or as a nonprofit, you can get pricing from Microsoft for Office 365 that is so compelling that you can't afford to maintain your own Microsoft Exchange servers. Essentially, you can get Microsoft Exchange and this entire package of services for under $15 to $20 a month for every one of the folks in your organization. So just the economics of the commodity cloud around an Office 365 product are pretty compelling. So if you look at the productivity aspect of implementing something like Office 365 with Link, which is a screen share and instant messaging platform, SharePoint Online, which gives you intranet and collaboration platforms, and then Yammer, which gives you enterprise social. Those are some pretty strong collaboration tool sets that especially organizations with far-flung resources are able to plug into, again, for pretty compelling economics. The commodity cloud is basically out of the box. You can take Office 365, install it, be up and running in a matter of days. In our experience, it does take a technology partner like Bross Group to come in and help you get that turned up in terms of migrating from old on-premise infrastructure to new. But once you do that, it's basically buy what you need, and the rest of it is you don't have to worry about servers and replacing applications every year when new versions come out. The second level of cloud infrastructure that we think about when we talk about cloud is what we call hybrid cloud. And hybrid cloud is exactly what it sounds like. It's a combination of on-premise servers and architecture. Legacy is what we typically refer to that. So if you have an association management system or a learning management system or an accounting system that is on-premise hardware and software that needs to stay where it is for some reason, for some period of time, you can marry those architectures to the commodity cloud and create a hybrid cloud. We do this often, and I'll talk to you about some business case or some case studies at the end of this where we can illustrate how we've done that. It would allow you to keep mission-critical data for accounting apps and those things that people are a little bit more parochial about on-premise under a tighter control rather than putting it into a commodity cloud. It also gives you that blended transition path from on-premise to the cloud over some period of time. The solution sets there can be a bit complex, but again, once you are able to blend those things across the commodity cloud and the hybrid cloud with the right implementation services, these things become highly sustainable, and you can forget about replacing hardware on a regular basis. The third level of cloud is what we call private cloud. Essentially, if you think about conceptually picking up whatever you would have normally put into your own data centers and move it to a private data center, get your bandwidth through the internet, connect that way, and connect more broadly than you're able to with your private data centers. Private cloud offers that kind of a cloud service with the kind of control that you would get from an on-premise solution. None of these three cloud pictures are exclusive of the other. There can be all sorts of hybrids between these. Many of our clients start with a commodity cloud, end up with private clouds or hybrid clouds as part of the solution set that they need for their organization. But they're able to drive significant costs out of the IT infrastructure in terms of moving 80/20 to 20/80 in terms of their IT folks and their resources are now focused on not on watching blinking lights, but on what the new functionality that the organization requires might be. So to summarize those three levels of cloud services, one size does not fit all. There is a lot of cross-pollination between these models, and what you need is the right partner. We think it's someone like Ross Group to help you implement those strategies. We always focus on the business case. You will find, as Justin said, I have the privilege of serving a lot of organizations in a virtual CIO role. I don't see myself as a technologist in that role. I see myself as a participant in the business process. So I always want to hear about the business plan and what the organization wants to achieve. And in doing so, that allows me to line up technology solutions to support the business on an ongoing basis rather than the technology driving the business. We've talked about return on investments, how do we make it sustainable? We work across this spectrum of commodity cloud, hybrid cloud, and private cloud to come up with the solution that's needed. So to that end, we always recommend you pick your partners wisely, whether it's Ross Group or others. Make sure they understand the cloud and have an established reputation in knowing what associations require to operate and what business the associations and membership organizations are in. So this is a bit of a busy slide, but I wanted to kind of talk through how an assessment of the specific association applications might look for any given organization. It is designed to kind of show you the low-hanging fruits, and every organization can go through this exercise, and we can certainly help anyone who's interested in doing that to come up with a custom one of these for your organization. But based on the x-axis on the bottom, what your relative IT budget would generally be. You could also use your organization size. We've worked with organizations with net revenues of $2 to $3 million a year up to $50 million a year in terms of the size of those organizations. So we've got a broad array of organizations that we work with. So the relative IT budget tends to be a reflection of the size of the organization on the x-axis. And then on the y-axis, the horizontal, vertical axis there, whether you should do this in the short term or the long term. So I'll just pick a few things here to talk about. Consistent with what I talked about earlier, email is what I always call low-hanging fruit, especially for membership organizations that qualify for a nonprofit. You can get this infrastructure from Microsoft where you have absolutely no on-premise installation. They maintain all of the infrastructure. All of your Outlook can integrate with it. All of your scheduling, everything you're currently doing with Outlook can be moved to this platform, and even including the installation transition cost generally costs around $10,000 to $15,000 in terms of implementation costs, and then you have monthly ongoing cost of $15 or so a month for every person in your organization. So I always think of it as low-hanging fruit. Everyone should be doing this, in my opinion, because the economics of maintaining your own Exchange server 1 or 2 upgrades a year would cost you more than what this cost is. Also in the low-hanging fruit box is intranets. Depending upon which strategy you take, you're going to be in the anywhere from $15,000 to $50,000. I think of this as short-term because if you go after something like Office 365, you get SharePoint Online, which is a great platform for implementing a lightweight intranet, and you can get started really quickly here. More complicated on-premise kinds of installs of SharePoint would put you up into probably a longer-term kind of implementation, maybe a bit more costly. But these numbers that I'm throwing out here are just generally speaking for a typical organization that might have 50 or so employees. So that's why I wanted to toss these up. Low-hanging fruit in the events category, there are lots of tool sets out there that are SaaS-based, cloud-based tools like Cvent, including things like Crowd Compass that give you mobile applications that you can implement for $25,000 a year or so, depending upon, if you're doing 2 to 3 events a year, that certainly works in that space. Less if there are fewer events, more if there are more. CMS is also in that, so content management system for websites is in the low-hanging fruit area. We always recommend that people really focus on search in their implementation of their CMSs and make sure that their sites, whatever they build for their public-facing websites, are searchable in a highly indexed form so that you have essentially a Google for what your organization is, Google for water, Google for financial planning, Google for whatever your organization is. you really want to become a location where people will search for information about your particular mission. The rest of the boxes tend to be either more budget or longer term. If you look in the top right-hand corner, if you're a large organization who needs an association management system, some of the ones we work with are IMS, Personify, Optify. Those are the heavy lifts. Those can be $1 million plus, whether they go to the cloud or a hybrid or a private. They're fairly expensive. There are some lower dollar ones there when you think about ProTech and some of the others. And if you're a smaller organization, you can look at something like yourmembership.com and really lower the cost threshold there. But it all depends upon what organization mission you're looking to fulfill and how many members you have, that sort of thing. So the idea of this candidate list, along with kind of putting it in the quadrants of when you should be paying attention to them, is this can be customized to your organization through an assessment process that we can certainly help with, give you the radar screen for what you need to be moving to the cloud and when and what the costs are for those things. These things are very helpful when you're in front of your board of directors and your leadership team to justify what needs to be moved to the cloud and when. So to summarize these things, there are some no-brainers that we think that associations should be looking at particularly. The no-brainers are messaging and email. Get your email get out of the business of managing email servers. Give that stuff to Microsoft. We eat our own dog food in this respect. We have 50 or so employees, and we do not manage our own Exchange servers for the reason, and our economics are actually higher than the nonprofits. We are not in the email Exchange management business in that respect. So we certainly recommend this to all of the folks out there in association land. Implement collaboration in the form of SharePoint Online and Yammer, for example. Find tools like that in your association that allow your people to connect, to carry on conversations from wherever they are on whatever platform and device they happen to be on, so that those conversations are not disconnected and decisions are made in the most efficient manner. Get the word out is the last of the no-brainers, and again, we think about corporate social and intranet and extranets as being things that every organization should be focused on, especially in the nonprofit world where you're collaborating with volunteer leadership in lots of organizations and where your workforce might be dispersed around the country. These things are even more important. So we think of those three areas as the no-brainers that need to be focused on immediately, if not sooner. The second level is connecting the dots. I talked about search as being the killer app. You should be the Google for whatever your mission is. You should also find ways to connect your workforce to the information inside of your organization that they need the most. If you use something like a SharePoint Online or Google Docs or something that provides strong search capabilities, you can eliminate folder fatigue. I can't tell you, well, it's 100%. Every organization I walk into that doesn't have a strong collaboration platform that enables search, you find people hunting and pecking for where is that document, what folder did I put that in, which shared drive is it on, did you email that to me? If you focus on connecting the dots through some of these collaboration platforms, you can eliminate every bit of that. Workflow is another strong feature of these cloud tool sets that are out there. How do I route documents and decision-making through my organization in ways that make sense to my organization? SharePoint Online, again, provides a workflow management system, and if you are a nonprofit, you can get compelling pricing there. So it is, and I make nothing, by the way, on selling Microsoft product. I just happen to be a very strong proponent of their products. So they have a strong platform there for workflow. You can utilize integrated tools in here to connect the dots. Again, these tool sets that are out there now that are cloud-based, I keep referring back to Office 365, but if you save a document in Office 365 in Word, it can automatically save it into the right folders and update metadata and tagging on your shared drives on SharePoint, and people can automatically search for those things with very little interaction. You just specify where you want those things to be saved, and you're no longer saving things to your hard drive moving things to shared folders, emailing files around. Those things are automatic in these integrated tool sets. I often tell people to pay attention to mobile and small footprint devices. Most of us have more than one device now. I have, sitting here on my desk, 3 of them in front of me, and that's not even all of the devices that I work with. I also have iPads and iPhones and smartphones and Androids, and the message in that is that people are going to use what they want to use. You can't really control them being in front of a desktop anymore. You have to accommodate them working where it's most efficient for them and accommodate that workflow. So we always say pay attention to mobile and small footprint devices. And of course, capture knowledge and make it accessible to everyone everywhere. The last thing in your cloud strategy that we say is critical is to stop watching blinkers or stop watching blinking lights. The value proposition of cloud strategies, well done, is that you can, for the most part, get rid of all of those blinking lights in some back room or the corner of some office for the most part. There are still some light footprint things that you'll need at your location, but you can get out of the server management business, invert your 80-20 to 20-80, meaning that your IT folks now can start working on critical business projects as opposed to watching blinking lights and maintaining existing infrastructure like upgrading Exchange servers and so forth. When you're getting rid of these blinking lights and you engage partners around these things, whether it's Microsoft or EC2 or our BROS group for that matter, focus on service level agreements and long-term partnerships. We like to think that our experience with associations and membership organizations makes us a very strong partner on a service level basis because we speak association, we speak membership. A lot of our business is around membership organizations. So you should be reviewing every IT acquisition. Every time somebody comes to you with I need to buy something with hard disk or blinking lights or network connections in it, you should be looking at that to see if there's an opportunity to move that to the cloud on a case-by-case basis and certainly strategically, with the view that compute is now a utility. You should no longer be necessarily looking for buying the biggest laptop or the most powerful laptop. You should be plugging into those things as an infrastructure utility kind of arrangement. So step by step, first thing, find the right cloud partner, which is critical. The need for the right strategic planning is not going to go away. Regardless of where these applications and infrastructure are located, you still need the right people who know your business and know what cloud means, whether it's cloud or private cloud or hybrid cloud or commodity cloud. You need the right partners that know what that means. So that's the first step. You need to acknowledge the need for change. Cloud is not going away. It is a game changer in our view for all of the reasons we talked about earlier. It enables productivity in ways that are really game changing for organizations. Make sure IT is working on the right things. If you invert your 80-20 to 20-80, you're going to find more resources available to work on the strategic parts of your business plan instead of spending 80% of their time maintaining existing infrastructure. Make sure IT is doing things the right way. Do a formal assessment. We oftentimes work with associations. The first engagement that we will do with them is a formal assessment process where we go in and look at people, process, technology applications in the light of what membership and associations do, because we know that space, and try to work with them around what their business plan asks for and what their IT plan delivers, and find out what those gaps are and make recommendations about those things. Most of our engagements around membership organizations start in that way. And one of the first things that we do in those assessments is understand the true cost of IT. Many, many, many organizations, especially in the membership space, association space, tend to scatter their IT spend. They don't really know where the IT spend is because it's in every department, and they don't really understand the cost trade-offs of going to the cloud and consolidating that spend in a way that they can get a true picture. You should make a plan to adopt these alternative delivery models. Again, back to the partnership, this is not, generally speaking, something you do over a weekend. This is a thoughtful process that takes weeks to months to plan out, and then probably 18 to 24 months to accomplish if you have existing applications and tool sets that need to be migrated. For the most part, these are not flip the switch kinds of activities, but you will find yourself in a position of needing to make that plan, whether it's internally or bringing in a partner to adopt those plans over time. You need something like the grid that I presented earlier about short-term, long-term, and what the costs of those things are. The last thing in terms of step-by-step is be prepared to redeploy personnel. If you actually shift, and we've seen this happen, from 80-20 to 20-80, you will find that the skill sets that are needed to attack the strategic things in your business plan change from the skill sets that are needed to watch the blinking lights. So when the blinking lights go away, you're going to find yourself with more capacity around doing strategic things, but be prepared to redeploy those personnel and skill sets in ways that are more appropriate to fulfilling your business plan and connecting to your mission. I have to do a little bit of selling here in terms of engaging a cloud services partner, which we are. Probably, I would have to do the numbers, but somewhere around 70–75% of our business is managed services, which means we are a cloud partner with lots of experience in this area. We can help accelerate cloud adoption. We certainly believe and have experience and can show you service level improvements for the organizations where we've gone in and worked with them around moving to the cloud. We believe, and our CEOs tell us, that the business plan fulfillment happens much more quickly in terms of connecting to a KPI or a strategic business goal. We find that by engaging a partner like us, we are able to connect those dots much more quickly. There are lots of efficiencies around ongoing management of the ecosystem, around the cloud ecosystem, and flattening the cost curve. We talk about S3, stabilize, standardize, and simplify, and we apply that to the cloud as well. So that's my 30-second pitch around BROS. A couple of case studies which might be interesting to folks that at this point, we're working with more than half a dozen large association membership management organizations. I'll just talk about these two. There's a link here to a case study where you can go and download the case study around Water Research Foundation, but I'll give you the high-level overview of these two organizations. Water Research Foundation is a water quality organization based in Denver. They facilitate research, basically the movement of funding for research from funders to research teams around water quality. That's their topic. Their membership is institutional, meaning that folks like the Chicago Water Board, Denver Water, operators around large water systems are their members, and people who work for those organizations have access to all of the digital platforms that Water Research Foundation produces. Our engagement with them, we are in our third year of working with Water Research Foundation as a managed services client. We created a hybrid cloud architecture for them. Their public website, which is, it's in the case study, but it's www.waterrf.org, is a digital platform that we built for them to deliver research results to their membership. A good bit of their information is also publicly available, so you don't have to be a member to get to a good bit of their research. If you're interested in water quality, it's a great place to go kind of see what the current thinking is around those things. So we built a website for them that delivers their digital. Their old model was to publish reports that they physically bound and send out to people. They wanted to flatten that architecture around dissemination of information into everything from summaries that were one-pagers that you could drill down through and get to the 300, 400-page research report. They are able to do that on their publicly facing website now. It's essentially their website has become their FedEx truck for getting these research reports out to the public, and also flattens the architecture for all their information architecture in such a way that you can find information in much more consumable kind of bite-sized chunks. We're also managing their enterprise resource planning system, which is Solomon, where all of their project accounting and accounting for the organization is done. we're managing their association management system in this hybrid cloud arrangement. They are currently using, I don't know what the current name of it, it's either Go Members or CDC or Q. It's changed name a few times over the past 18 months or so. We're managing that for them. They are actually in an RFP to replace their AMS system. We built all of their intranets and their collaboration platforms, which also they have both an internal intranet, which is for their 50 employees. We're also doing collaboration platforms for their research teams, which would be called extranets in some worlds. So if a research team for academics are at 3 or 4 different institutions and they need to collaborate with each other, they can do that through the extranet platform that we built for Water Research Foundation. They do all of their document management and collaboration through digital platforms that were built for them by Bross Group. They are, I believe, $12 or $14 million a year annual revenues, 50 employees. They serve about 1,000 institutions, and that's a pretty good summary of them. Again, their URL is www.waterf.org. If you want to go look at it, you don't need to log in to take a look at the publicly facing part of that site. Financial Planning Association is another fairly large organization that we work with, and we're going into our 2nd year of working with Financial Planning Association. 30,000 members, financial planners around the country are members of Financial Planning Association. These are certified financial planners. It's a very similar kind of profile in terms of they have a tremendous amount of content that they want to distribute to their members. Some of it's secure, some of it not, in terms of you have to be a member in order to see some of that content. Other of the content is publicly facing and some is not. Again, their platform is digital distribution of content that they have all sorts of people, experts in the industry, thought leaders, are authoring and putting onto their website. They also have the Journal for Financial Planning, which is a digital magazine that's delivered through the website as well as through iOS, Android, and other platforms on the mobile platforms, which we put together for them. They have an AMS platform also that we manage, which is IMUS, is a product that we host for them there. And they have extensive ERP stuff with Dynamics and Solomon integration, and they have intranets and Office 365 as well. Again, another place where we got out of the business of managing Exchange servers. We moved everything to the cloud in their case. There are others, smaller organization, Professional Ski Instructors Association, American Association of Snowboard Instructors, very similar, it's a much smaller organization. We are focusing on some of the same things with them, just scaled down a bit. Their websites are not using SharePoint, they're using .NET Nuke, but similar kinds of things that we do for them in terms of moving them through this continuum of commodity cloud, hybrid cloud, private cloud over time to line up with their business plan. So those are a couple of case studies that are available at our website. I know there's a link here to download the Water Research one. There's others out there on our website that you can take a look at. The idea that I wanted to convey today was we don't want any of you in this position where you couldn't get your head around the cloud. It's hard to cover all of this in 30 minutes, but we are able to certainly follow up with anyone who's interested in talking more in depth around what our capabilities and capacity might be there. And with that, I think we'll open it up for questions if there are any. And if there are, we'll let Justin jump back in and facilitate that process.
Can you hear me, Rick?
I can, yes.
Okay, perfect. I don't see any questions right now, but I will leave this screen up, and I do have a few other events that might be of interest to some of you that I'll go over. So you guys can jot this down. Our website is brossgroup.com, and you can contact Rick directly if you have any questions as well, and that's rbacham@brossgroup.com. And our phone number, actually, I don't know why I didn't put that on here, but it's 303-945-2700. So if you want to reach out to us, maybe discuss an assessment or something like that, if you do have those type of needs or cloud needs or just have any general questions, we're more than happy to help with those. And I'll go ahead and go to the next slide. If anyone needs this information too, we're going to go ahead and send a follow-up email that'll have this slideshow available for download and also the video of this webinar. So that will become available to you as well. So to kind of end on what we have coming up, because again, some of the stuff may have some interest to you. On April 1st, we have how to create an enterprise security awareness training program. So there's a little bit of a security focus out there that we're seeing right now, and we do have the capabilities to help with that, whether it's PCI compliance or some other issues you might be having. And on May 6th, there's a kind of an end part to the series of security that we're kind of doing right now, and that's the make it stick part, enforcing your security policy. Again, if you go to our website and go to our blog, we can go ahead and you can sign up in those forms, or when I do send this out to you, this download, you'll see those sign up buttons now. They'll be activated for that download. On May 19th through the 21st, Rick is actually speaking at the Digital Now conference in Nashville, and that's an association-focused conference on technology. And if you actually use the link, that will be included in our follow-up email for this. You'll get a $200 discount. So it's kind of beneficial if you're considering going to that event. We can facilitate a little bit of a discount there. So that email will be coming out, or you can reach out to us in any other way, whether it's through our website, the phone number, email, any of those avenues that we've given you. We also do have some other resources on the website. Those resources include things like we have a predictive analytic model that we work with now with some of the membership and predicting when members drop off. I have a case study online on the website for that as well. So those types of things, we want to provide you as many resources as possible that we can give you as an association to succeed. So having said that, I want to thank all of you for coming on, and we look forward to chatting with any of you that need or want to have more of a conversation with us. And hopefully we'll see you at the next webinar on April 1st. Thanks.